Hi, it's Lil from Made by Marley. Welcome back to our channel. Hello to all the people that already subscribed to our channel and to everybody new, and there's quite a lot of you who have subscribed recently. Thanks for subscribing, and I hope you like what I'm about to do. So, if you've got a piece of boring old brown furniture that is destined for landfill, which this piece was, I'm going to show you how to take the Devine in Denim by Redesign by Prima and cut it up, distress your furniture, throw it all back on, put on some gorgeous vintage handles and call it done. So keep on watching to see what I did. So this is today's piece. All I can see is it's ugly. It is an ugly piece of furniture. If anything was screaming for a makeover, it's this one. It's pretty bog standard. What can I say about it apart from it's ugly? It obviously has cupboards, drawers. Going to take the hardware off, going to give it a good clean. I'm going to be using today this transfer, which is Devine in Denim by CC Restyled. That's what's going on to it, and the colour I'm going to be using is going to be this stinky chocolate brown, which I made up. I mixed this beautiful chocolate brown. I know we're painting brown furniture brown, but this is just our base coat before we do our blend. I've given it a really good scuff sand. I've filled the holes. I've given it a clean. Make sure you've not got any dust residue in your piece before you start painting it. Now I've separated my lovely chocolatey brown into two. I might need to go and get some more because when we go to do the blend, I'm going to be needing some of this brown again. So I've kind of mixed up more than I need. So if you're mixing up a piece for this size, make sure that you mix up enough and a little bit for your blending. I'm just using any old paintbrush. Now remember, this is not chalk paint, so it's not any which way you go. It's obviously up and downy. Now it's not going to matter too much for us if this is a kind of like not a perfect job because we're going to add a lot of texture. Well, I'm going to try and add texture to this piece using a self-leveling, self-sealing paint, and we'll see how we get on with that once we've got its base coat on. But it needs this orangey brown, sort of chocolatey brown colour for a base coat. So I'm just going to get on and I'm going to paint it all, and then when it's dry we'll get it over into the studio and we can start working on it. I'm working on it outside because it's a lovely day here in Scotland and it'll dry no problems. Okay, so I'm back in the studio and I know what you're thinking. It still looks brown. It's had its two coats of the brown that I've applied onto it. It's just to help our paint blend in it. Now we're going to be blending, but I'm blending with a self-leveling sealing paint. Ideally you shouldn't use water on them. We're going to try that. I haven't tried this off camera. We're going to try a little bit of that. We will have to then reseal it because obviously if you're adding water to a self-sealing paint, it's going to make it quite vulnerable, and even though it's got all this, we're still going to need a little bit of something over the top of it, but that's neither here nor there. Now the reason why I've done this brown is because of this. Now there's certain elements that I really like about this, like I love this part and I like that part and I like the blue. I'm not so keen on the chains, and I quite like this, and I like this end part. So I'm going to slice it and dice it to the parts that I want. So I chose the brown because it goes with the inside of this brown. So if I choose to put these down the centres, I can do. But we need to introduce the colours we're going to have to introduce into this are going to be this sort of bluey grey, a sort of goldy colour that I've mixed up. We're going to need some, it might have helped if I thought about this before I started, we're going to need some orange for the orange part. We're probably going to need some white, which I've got over here, and I want to introduce some of this pink. Now that's quite a tall order for such a small, I'm just going to get rid of the transfer. I'll just move this because the pink I thought might work is this. So there's an awful lot, as you can see, going on already. Because I need one drawer, I'm putting white on it. I want this drawer here to be blue, and it's the only drawer, so that's what we'll do. we'll start with this drawer here and we'll just start working our way along the piece because it's kind of going to be sectional. So let me just think about how I want to kind of start this. I think probably, because it's white, I think I might just do blue on this drawer and blend a darker colour around the edges to give it a little bit of drama. I'm not quite sure where we're going with this yet. I know what my kind of rough plan is, but sometimes, you know, I just know that this is going to be fun. This is what I'm looking forward to doing. So we're going to put this on here like this. I'm thinking I might like some drips of some darker blue over the top of this. Now, I'm happy for my brown to show through. Don't worry about these. I didn't fully fill these because I'm going to be putting handles with quite a large plate on them. I just didn't want it to show from the inside. I thought that would be messy, but the outside I knew was going to be covered. So I think we're going to do something like this, and then we're going to, so that's with one brush, and then I'm just going to pick quite a small one, something like this, just an artist brush, just to start putting some of this darker around the edges. And let's see, because this paint is quite wet, it might just do it itself, and I won't need to add water to blend it. I think we're going to do something like this. Now, you wouldn't normally blend with a tiny little artist brush, but I don't care. Now, we're going to have to add something to the centre of this. Now, remember, white's going over the top of it. So I'm thinking maybe, because I'm wanting to kind of keep it quite moody, so let's see if we can add a little bit more of this. I'm going to go just off camera quickly and get a deeper blue for this because I want a lot more drama than I currently have. I'll just be 1 minute. So I've got myself on some Oxford blue. Aha! Now this is more what I'm looking for. So I'm going to try and put it around the edges like this, and I'm going to work it. Something sticking there. Yeah, it is there. See if I can just get rid of it on my end of my paint can. Now, I'm going to go back to my kind of denim-y grey. Still want a little bit more drama in that. I'll be freaking out at the time. So and just because I can, I have another shade of blue here that I'm just going to do this and just kind of smoosh that out to the edges. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Whoop. I think that's my blue drawer done. And I'm just going to let that one be while we set up for the next colour. Okay, these doors are going to be slightly more tricky because we managed to do the door no problem, but I want to keep the brown in the middle of this. So I'm going to start with some orange. Now, I don't mind if there's plenty of texture because I'm not putting much on my brush. I'm just trying to build up some texture. I'm not so much blending on these ones as just kind of mixing my colours together. This is more sort of meshing them together. So I've got my orange on. And I want to start adding in here some of this. Just little parts. It's just to tie in, there we go. It's just to tie in that transfer. And I need to go and grab my brown. I've been very silly. I keep starting and then I realise that I haven't got everything I need. I need a better brush for a start off. It's just leaving me loads of strokes. Maybe I quite like those actually. Now this is going to be tricky and it doesn't matter. We can't blend the pink into this yellow. It's never going to happen. So let's just do this. And let's see where we go with this. Because I'm thinking I might like to do something cheeky like spray some water on it and see if it runs. Oh, it does. Let's see what we can do with this. Now, anybody watching this at home right now is going to go, oh no, really? But you've got to give it a chance. I think I'm going to go and find my brown so that I can kind of touch up. I don't want I want the drips, but I still want to keep in here reasonably brown. I'm just going to do a wee bit more of this up here. This is what I used to do all the time before YouTube. I just used to sit and play with my paint. So you're getting to see it all happen again. And I want some more orange. I'm not sure whether I want to kind of have a bit scrapey. Maybe not. Now, I'm just going to do this. My cloth is wet. Because I want to get rid of this. I'm just going to stop the camera and get my brown so I can just paint into the brown. So I've grabbed my brown back. See if I can get that brown to go out there. Yeah, I'm kind of digging that. Remember to think back to the original transfer and what's actually going to be happening to this. So right now, instead of going, oh my, oh lordy no, just give it a bit of a chance. I think I might keep these down here. The only problem is it's more pink than orange, and I'm really wanting a little bit more orange. So let's try and do something like this and see if we can get the orange to run down. Yeah. Now we're kind of sparse looking up here because I went and run some chocolate colour here. Yeah. So before I go on, oh, I had a little bit of blue on my brush there. Did you see that? It looked quite nice. Before I go on, what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to dry this with my heat gun, just because I want to try and fix down here. I don't want down here these drips coming down here, so I'm going to just dry this with my heat gun before we go any further. Okay, so I've done, this is the blended drawer and it's dry, this cupboard, and I did this one, and I'm going to show you this blend again on this one. This blend here, I just put on the foot plate down there. Now, I know what you're thinking, oh, she's never ever going to pull this one off. But if I start to introduce some of this over here, I can do this. So this, just in case you didn't get it the last time, it's pretty much experimental. I've went along here and all I've done is I've added with a little bit of my yellow. I've just kind of touched up and did some sort of texture around the edges, you know, give it a little bit of zhuzh. That's all I've done, and I've done this one over here. And you've already seen me do it once, but let's, just for the sake of continuity, we'll show you this one. And as I said, this blue is just this repeated down there with my 3 different colours, my darker, my lighter blue, and then the lightest in the middle. So this door here, how did we, hang on, because I haven't got any, what do you call it, handles, that's the word I'm looking for. I haven't got any handles on it, so this, we're going to just try and grab like this. Now this is going to be kind of awkward because I'm at an awkward angle, but we'll see what we can do. So we're putting our orange on. Right, and remember, don't forget the top edges, especially if you're kind of sitting down. And I'm not too worried about round the corner yet. We'll get to round the corner because I'm going to kind of carry this on through. And we'll get to the top. I just want to show you the front first so that you get it. So I'm going with it. I'm going with the orange, and I'm not bothered that you can see the brown underneath it. I don't care. And then what am I doing next? I'm going to touch up with a little bit of this pinky colour. Let's put some here, some here, and some here. And then I'm going to put my yellow on, and we're going up here, here, and here, and here. Just going to go right along with that with the yellow. And then what I'm doing is I'm going in with a kind of semi-wet brush. First of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my chocolatey brown, and it had a little bit of pink on it from the last door. So that's okay because it's kind of giving it two sort of shades. So I'm just going to wipe that off a bit. It's a good job you can't see what mess I'm creating elsewhere right now. Now I appreciate right this minute you're thinking I have lost the plot and this looks like a total dog's dinner, but I'm not bothered because it'll be fine. Now I'm spritzing some of this. Martin is laughing, but he has seen this before, so it's okay, it's good. I'm wanting it to run. Now what I found before was, if I put a little bit of this blue, which was our mid blue from this, I found it on here, and so I kind of added it when it started to drip. I just added tiny parts. So we'll go with that. Do a bit here as well. Thought I added something that bit, a little bit of blue. Paint's kind of separating a bit, but I'm not bothered. So I think I'll put the yellow on when this is dry. I think pretty much because I want to keep all the drips in, but I don't want it to drip too crazy onto the floor. I think this is probably enough. I need to fix this corner up here, obviously, but I'll catch that when I go around the corner. But let's just do this. To brighten it up a wee bit there. I don't want to run too much of the drippiness away. Oof! Do you know what it reminds me? My mum's kitchen in the 70s. Anyway, I'm going to go on and dry this one next. I'm going to put the yellow around the edges. I'll fix this blue, same as this, the drawer. And then we're going to get on to doing something quite spectacular on the front. Okay, so it's slicing and dicing time. So I'm going to take the white one, which is a little bit contrived over the blue, but I needed to match this blue in with other things. So, you know, just run with that, I think. I think this is about right for the drawer front. Let me just pull my drawer out a bit so I can see. And because our drawers sit back in this one, we can paint the insides of our drawers, which is always a little bit exciting. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, so I think I'm just going to put the whole thing on this one. So let's see if I get this right. Just take a minute, make sure you're positioning, don't stick it down, but I think I'm kind of happy with that. I think that looks about right. Martin didn't do a huge intake of breath. Well, Martin does the, you know, you've kind of maybe got it either wonky or he's just horrified at my next steps. I asked him off camera when I'd finished this door, I said, hey, baby, what do you think? And he went, well, it looks like a real mess on camera. I just love my job. I said to him, don't worry, it's going to be fine. And he said, yeah, I've seen you do it a million times before, but still, I'm sure he sometimes thinks I've gone mad. Right, so this is what we're doing here. So I'm just going to go on and I'm going to score all this off, and you don't need to see me apply a transfer. How many times have you seen me put transfers on? It must get a little bit dull. So I'll do this and then I'll come back and we'll get on to the bottom part. I'm not 100% whether I'm loving this chain or not. So do you know what? I'm going to cut it just after the chain just now. I might be able to just use the chain as another thing in it, but right now it's not going on here. Because I really like this other part. It's just the chain that, I don't know, it's just kind of not my jam. So I'm cutting out the browny florally part now. I've only ever seen this applied as a oneer, so I don't know what it's going to look like hacked to pieces, but we'll see. Right, so I now have this part, but I want this part to go quite a distance, so I'm going to have to be quite clever with it. So I'm thinking I'm going to now cut this part off where the paisley pattern section is, like this. I'd like to get 3 strips out of this whole thing, so let's see what we can do with here. So there's that part, but I want this part maybe halved as well. Yeah, so this is going to be just by eye here, I'm afraid. You'll laugh at the end when it's a tiny, thin, skinny strip, because my eyes are a bit wonky. Now, that's us managed to make some surrounds. So where's the one with the line? Let me have a look and see if I can get this to go here and this to go here. Right, yes. So I'm going to have enough for a top and bottom of this one with a tiny little bit left over. So let's just go to about here and cut it. Now it stands to reason if that's the top, then this should be my, it got a bit, I'm sorry, it got a little bit chilled through the paint. But I'm sure you quite enjoy that. There's obviously some chocolate brown paint down there that everything's rattling around in. I'm going to put my cloth down there. See, I'm sure you watch other very classy furniture artists who don't trail their transfers through the paint. Right, okay, so let's just get a top and bottom on this one, because the next thing I want to introduce, and this is why I picked these specific colours. Now, am I going up or am I going down? Am I going this way round? Oh, I think so. I'm still not convinced whether I should go up in here and come down. Kind of committing to that there. I better not. Nah, we'll put it on here. It'll make more of an impact. So we're going across here like this, and obviously the other piece that I cut here is going across the bottom. Ooh, butterfingers, and I want my orange line to go upwards, and we're just going to position this like so. Now already I think this is looking so much better. So again, transfers, you push, you scrape with a little handy dandy transfer tool. This isn't a Redesign by Prima one, it's just an ILD one. I shouldn't maybe be saying that. Because these I feel these ones are better. That's all. I don't want to see any more than that. Right, so because it's self-sealing paint, and I've got a whole 2 layers of self-sealing paint underneath, it's sticking quite well. So let's just have a wee looky at this, and then let's just burnish that on there. Now I am going to come back, I think, and distress these, because I don't want it to look too perfect. I mean, that would never do, would it? So same happening here at the bottom. Just see if I can get a wee grip on my edges here. Butterfingers. Once you get a good start with it, it's normally quite good. The trick is to get a good start with it. So now we're going to have to work out, I'm only going to do this one door, and this part here, and then I'll kind of come back sporadically and show you. It's just so you're not watching the same thing over and over again. It's just really my thought process of how to do this. Now I want this, but I'm going to cut it. I'm going to get rid of that golden chain. I just don't enjoy it. I'm sorry. Golden chain. I might use it somewhere else, but I mean there's little bits down here that I could possibly use it for. So I just don't want it to end up looking a little bit tacky. I'm sorry, Redesign by Prima. I'm sure you loved that CC's chain. You're quite offensive tonight. I don't know why. Right, okay, so cut that off. I don't want that. Let's just do this and save the rest of our white, because if I can try and make the white, the lacy one work down the bottom, I will, but I fear really going to have to slice and dice that to make that work. Now, I'm going to go right down the middle of the jewel and down the chain like that. And the good thing is you have your chain and your jewel to kind of keep you on the straight and narrow. That doesn't mean to say that I will, but you know, you can. I go 100 miles an hour because it saves you hanging about, or me hanging about, either one. Right, okay, so we have this now. Let's just measure this out. Now I'd quite like to miter my corner. Am I mitering my corner over that there? Yeah, because it'll be a bit weird looking and I like that. So let's do here. I'm going to find my scissors. So this is my length here, and so it stands to reason that this side, oh, it's got, there's more chocolate brown paint. I don't know where it's all coming from. Oh, right. Leave me a comment if you're messy, or are you very, very clean and tidy. When Martin does his job, it's really clean and tidy. When I do a job, it's a complete and utter disaster area. And then I say it's because I'm a creative. Right. And I'm just going to do something like, do you know what? I'm not even going to do that. I'm just going to do this and just, let's see. I'm just going to do this. Oh, but I need to do it on that side. Yeah, just check I've got my brain working correctly, so that when I put this on here, it should or thereabouts work. Oh man, I wanted to do, oh well, the jewels are going this way, never mind. There. Now I'm hoping that people at home now are actually going, do you know what, she's actually making this come together now, thank goodness, because that was really bad. What? Oh, actually, no, Martin says not yet. Okay, well, I think it's coming together, so obviously, but Martin doesn't. So I'm going to go away off camera and apply the other side of this, because I feel like this is getting a wee bit boring for you. Okay, so I've got the other part of the transfer now, and I want one of these sort of, well, I don't know what you'd call them, orbs, I don't know, florally things. Now, I want to try and get an accent for all my corners, so I'm going to go like this. And I need to get rid of this just so I can level up in my brain. And here, again, I'm just taking this part off. It's just so my brain works it out better. There. Now, And I think I'm going to do something like here on each corner. So let's just have a wee look and see how this looks. So something like this. And something like that. Down the bottom, and this part here like this. Now I'm just going to go off camera and just rub these on. Okay, so this one is a little bit sort of different. I'm just taking, if I can, this sort of this part here from the drawer, if I can. It might not work. I won't know until I've pulled away the backing paper, to be honest with you. It's just, I think I'm going to have to lose that part. I'm not too worried about that, but I'm going to have to kind of, it's not going to be perfect. Let's have a wee look and see how this looks on the it's supposed to be on the blue being on here. Now it has been hacked up a bit, but I blame it. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to take this part off. Now it looks wonky. I think it needed that part. Oh, hang on, I've still got it. We'll bring it back and we'll stick it back on there in a minute. Right, okay, so let's put this sort of semi-centred. And where's my wee bit that I just hacked off that made it look wonky? Stick that back on there like that. Yeah, yes. That's the thing, it was never going to be, because it's not meant to be cut out individually. And I'm just decided that's what I was going to do. So once I've done this cupboard, I'm just going to go away and do my other cupboards just by cutting up my transfer and reapplying it in ways that make more of a pattern. So I'm going to do that, but I mean I've still got I'm going to try and find a piece for here, here, here and here, and I'll do that in a minute before we I move on to the rest of the doors, because you don't want to be seeing me doing this over and over and over again. You get the idea. It's just about how I absolutely deconstruct, and I do a lot of the deconstructing ones, but just pulling apart and cutting up a transfer and applying it onto lovely colour underneath, which really I think sometimes works, although some might argue that that wasn't lovely to begin with, but I think it all works. See if I can get this wee part here off that I hacked off. There we go. There we go. I think it just gives it something. Now, off my cut up, don't tell me I'm going to have to use the gold. It looks like Gucci made furniture. No. I might need these for these sides, but I quite like this. I'm going to take the gold sort of, in fact I'll probably be able to use both again if I do this. So let's take this to the sort of stitching line. Right, and I want a piece to go from here to here. Now these are all different because of the way I've cut it, and it wasn't symmetrical, so stands to reason it's a little bit funky looking right now. I think I'm just going to do that here. I am going to distress over the top of these with some paint. Oh, that's a little bit not straight. Ah, too late. Commit to. It's a good job I just said I am going to be distressing over the top of these. Martin, was that an intake of breath?
No.
When I've kind of distressed this up a bit with the orange, I think it'll look just fine. Now, kind of want to do something about here actually. Just kind of cover that part up. That really does look wonky, but don't worry, I can fix it. I'm trying to get the back off of here without. Right, here we go. And I've got the stitchings. I want the stitching on the other side, so I want to kind of. Well, first of all, I want to try and. I can get rid of this part with some distress and something. I'm just going to bring this down. Yeah, like that. And that is straight. Okay, so I've got this part on, and this is what I was saying to you. I've already done some up here, but this is where I'm going to start. If you go back in with the chocolate brown, you can start making it look like it's distressed. Now you can't sand it obviously because it's on self-leveling paint, but this is a way to do it that makes it look like it's kind of worn away. You don't have to worry about it then, it's gone. So that's all I'm doing here, taking away some of these edges just to make it look less like it's just came along and been stuck on. I don't know if you can see on camera my natty fix that I fixed for the unstraight bit. There's a little telltale time because there's two lines now. I'm just going to go along the edge of that just to make it look less straight, because we don't want it to look like it's just been stuck on there. Right, I think I'm kind of happy with that. I think I might make that go right across like it's right coming off. Yeah, so now I'm happy with this, but you can also touch up things like these parts here and make this look tidier if you so wish. I'm going to get rid of this white line here and this part here. Whoops. And tidy this up here too. This is why I said to you I wasn't too worried about it. Putting it on a brown background, I knew that I could touch it up with the brown. It doesn't matter what colour your background is, you can touch it up with any colour. Now because this goes up and round here, it's going to look a bit weird if I take this wee kind of flourish off, but I think I might do this. And just tidy around these edges. Now I'm unclear whether I want to make this look like it's distressed too. I think probably I'm just going to keep it the way it is. Now that's all well and good. We can fix all these bits and I can do this off camera. I was just showing you what I was doing. I don't think I've kind of got rid of that chain down there. I've already done that. If you're moving on to the orange or the yellow, you have to use orange and yellow obviously. Yeah, so I'm happy with that, but what I have realised is there is very little pink in this now. The pink has kind of disappeared, and there is pink here, which I want to try and bring back out. So, using my palette knife and the pink, I'm just going to do something like, and it's maybe actually too pale a pink. I think I could do with a bit more of a reddy pink, or a pinky pink. 1 minute while I just get a pinky pink. Okay, so I've made my pink pinkier by adding a brighter pink. Yeah, I just want to just put it. I'm not enjoying this part here. Hang on. I built up quite a lot of texture by putting all the drips and runs and everything on it. So when you put your palette knife over it, you're gonna get quite a nice sort of kind of texturized sort of feel. It's going to stick in all the bumps basically. There we go. And I think going over there doesn't do it any harm, and I might do some over on this edge here to get rid of that sort of kind of really sort of contrived edge.
Yeah, this part here is very bland, and I'm thinking what really could be doing with going in here is maybe, sorry, I've gone away on a tangent here. It's just so you know when I go away to do the other doors what I actually did to achieve the look, and I didn't just come back and go ba-ba. It's this part here, let's talk about here. I have this yellow, but it's too yellow or yellow to go with this. So let's see if we can, I'm just going to use the lid of my transfer, because I won't be using it again, because I'll probably use the whole thing up. So let's dump some of this in here, and dump some of this in here, and let's see what we can mix up that's kinda, it's a bit too yellowy, I think. Let me see. I think it needs a little bit dab of orange in it. It's kind of veering towards a sort of mustardy. Now I'll make it all too orange, too big a dip. Right, let's start that again with a bit more white. This is a good way, just look at your transfers, look at what you're mixing, and try and mix your own shades that you know are going to work. So I'm quite happy with that. I think we're there and thereabouts. So let's see if we can just frame this bad boy out a bit. I've still got some pink on my palette knife, but I don't mind that. Don't have the same amount of texture on this middle section that I have everywhere else, so yeah, and let's just pull some of that onto there, you know. Okay, so I think that's pretty much how I'm enjoying this now. I'm not going to go too crazy. Let's see if I can just rub some of that off there and make it a little bit more. Yeah. Obviously now I've done all this, this is looking a little bit too pristine. So we'll see if we can get some of the blue, now because it was a blend under there, see if we can get some of the darker blue hues to kind of like just take some parts off here and there of that transfer as well, to kind of make it work with what's going on underneath. But as a whole, I think I'm really quite happy with that, and I'm glad I introduced the pink, because I really think it did need it. You could do this for whenever in a day, and I probably could do it forever in a day, but I think I'm going to stop there. I think that's quite enough. Right, I'm going to go do these two off camera, shabby this up a little bit, and then we'll be getting to the bottom. Okay, so I did what I said I was going to do, and I've done these two cupboards, but if we just start with this drawer, I put more blue over it, and then I distressed it with my palette knife. It's still a bit wet, so I'm not wanting to touch it, just because it looked too pristine compared to the wonder that is this little beauty down here. Hang on, sorry, just fix that. It was drippy and drippy. So you saw me do this one. So I just recreated the same thing over here. I cut up my transfer differently. I used my strips on all different ways. I put some splats, I put some slight drips. We worked with the drips that we had underneath. I distressed back the lines to make them not look so uniform. You know, you can see where my paint is still wet, where I've worked over that. You saw me do this one. And this one here was created, they're not symmetrical, but they are pretty much similar. I had this one and this one on this side, but I ran out of some of the other ones and I had to use it now. We have used the whole of that transfer, because it's only for a small set of drawers, on this whole piece. So that's another good way to you know, deconstruct transfers is to kind of pull it all apart. That way you can do a larger surface area. So I've done this. I'm going to let all this dry because it's pretty wet for tonight and it's getting a bit late. So, and I'm going to keep the bottom blue, I've decided, because I didn't have any of the white to go onto it, and I quite like the blend on the. Tomorrow we're probably going to do something like, we're either going to do the top blue, or we're going to mix a blend of the orange and the blue together. So we'll see how that goes for the top, and if I like the top, we'll do the same on the sides. Then we have to go away and we really have to work out what really funky handles that I can put on this. And I am obviously considering putting some gold. I'm considering put some gold on it as well. You wouldn't say this was minimalist, but I haven't done one piece like this for a wee while. I mean, I know you don't think I've been playing it safe, but I think I've been playing it safe. So this is something that probably I enjoy doing best. I wasn't blown away by the transfer, but there was some elements of the transfer that I absolutely loved. I loved this. I really loved this pattern and this pattern here. I liked the white. I wasn't a huge fan of these big diamondy things, but somehow when you add a lot of distress and you're putting a lot of texture on, somehow suddenly it all just works together, and I don't find it offensive at all. In fact, if anything, I really quite enjoy it. So tomorrow we'll do the blend on there and there. I will probably, just because there's transfers and things, run over this with some kind of sealer once we've done the sides and everything. The top will be fine because I won't be using any water on it, but I did use some water on here. Plus it's got the transfers, so just to be safe, we'll run over it with some sealer. And while that's all happening, I will look out some fabulous handles. Okay, so I've decided on the mix for the top. I am going to do the top blue. I'm going to do a top blue blend. I have my 3 shades of blue that I'm going to do it with, and a blending brush. I'm not going to change my brushes in between. I'm just going to blend it. Now remember, we painted the top 2 coats of the chocolate brown, so it should go on like butter. Now I'm filming this myself, so let's see how we go. I'm going to try and give you some close-ups now and then, just so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm going to start with my lighter blue in my middle section of my top. Not too much, just like that. Then I'm going to go in with my slightly darker blue, and I'm going to move this around a bit. Move the darker blue out a little bit more to the edges. Now the same with blending, you go every way. Still trying to keep that nice lighter section in the middle. You can take your blue slightly out further than you're going to go. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with the darkest of blues, which is this colour here. Now be careful round the front because the front's finished. And be careful. I'm going to do this, I've made up my mind as well, I'm going to do the sides blue as well. So, so it'll be the same blend. Now it's a much darker colour, so we are going to have to do a bit of blending. I just want to get it on first. So once it's on, let's kind of like mix a bit of this through. Let's start mixing it round the edges. Into the middle. We can come back with our lighter colour. Hang on, there's something icky in that. Remember your edges.
I'm going to dip back into this blue again, the lighter blue, and pull that out. Now I feel with my darker blue I've lost quite a lot of my mid-tone, but if I mix this light colour out as far as my edges, I'm going to get that back. Just keep on blending and it will happen. You just have to keep mixing and mixing and moving and moving and moving. The more you move, the more you'll blend. Keep your strokes going up and down, from side to side, and horizontal and vertical. And keep on mixing, keep on blending it out, blending it out, blending it out to the edges. Now in a minute I'll give you a close-up of this. And what you should end up with is a nice kind of lighter patch in the middle. That's the plan anyway. Something similar to our front drawers. Now this is a self-leveling, self-sealing paint, so we won't need to seal this once this is dry. It'll seal itself. And blend that light out. And try and get rid of all those sort of brush strokes that you're not keen on. And this takes a bit of time, but you just have to keep working away. And in a minute I'm going to show you what it looks like. And you'll see my lighter colour in the middle. So I'm going to stop the camera now and I'm going to give you a look at what it looks like. Okay, so that's the blend. You can see the lighter part in the middle. And you can see how it works really well with the underneath. So, because you've seen me do this and you understand what it is I've been doing, I'm going to go off and I'm just going to do the sides. Okay, so I've applied these handles, but obviously sometimes you can't find the actual vintage screws, so these are just basic screws. And if you look to this one, I've already put the shimmer on it and I've covered up the little holes. But the product I'm going to be using is called French Shimmer Metallic Luster. Now, I have no recollection of buying this. I just found it and I said to Martin,
just this old thing
when did I buy this? But anyway, oh my goodness, I'm getting giddy here because it's an absolute lovely product. So what I'm going to show you what I did was I took it on my finger. That's a bit much. I took some on my finger and I rubbed it into the handles first of all, just to give them the sort of metallic luster. So I did that, just roughly like that, just enough. Yeah, and then I got a little artist brush and I just went in the hole of the screw and round about it and just made those sort of blend away into the piece, just so they're not obvious. That's another thing when you're doing up furniture. If you use new screws on old vintage handles, it's ideal if you can get the actual screws, but I mean, well, they could be anywhere. This could be taken off a piece or anything. I'm not actually quite sure where these handles came from originally, so I maybe didn't ever have the screws, so just round the edges, and that's what I'm doing with this. Now, when I got giddy with it, I decided to do this bottom rim down here, and all I'm doing is touching my finger in and running it along like that. And I'm also, sorry Martin, I'm moving very fast. I'm also just running it along the top edge like this. I'm not putting it on with a brush. I like this sort of kind of roughness of it. It matches the piece. So I'm just going along here, putting this on with my finger like this. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's a distressed piece. So this is what I'm doing here. I'm putting this on this top edge and I'm putting it down the bottom and the surround, and I'm fixing up the rest of these handles so they have this metallic-y shimmer.
according to the packaging, which I'm quite liking. So there we go. So we finished the piece. Was it difficult? No, not really. So what I did was I put a couple of base coats of brown in just to help our blend move because I wasn't using chalk paint and water. Did that first, came in, put it back in the studio, and then started with our drawer blend and our baseboard blend in the blues so that we could tie in the white part of the transfer. Then did something really quite drastic with spraying water and doing all sorts of things and just, you know, having a play with the paint so that I could cut up the transfer and reimagine it in a completely different way. At the end, what I did was I just put this, I think it's bronze. I'm not quite sure, it doesn't say what it is, but I think it's a bronze band there, down the bottom. And these old vintage handles suddenly now lift the piece and make it look more valuable. Handles can do that, so always think about your handles. Sometimes you don't want to change them over. Sometimes you're doing something cost effective. Paint them, do something different with them, but make them look different and give your piece a lift by adding fabulous new handles. So this piece has been resealed. What to tell you about it? That's it really. So if you've liked this video, give us a thumbs up, leave me a comment, please subscribe. We're nearly at the 1,000 subscribers now, so we're just hoping to kind of just get over that hump. Thank you again for all the people who have left me messages. Your messages are really truly overwhelming and I just don't know how to answer some of them. They're so very kind. So for those that have left me a message, this one's for you.